Welcome to Who Knew. We are fans of the current series of Doctor Who, and on this podcast, we discuss our likes, dislikes, and insights of the modern regeneration of the show. Today's episode is Season 1, 13 episodes long. This is Christopher Eccleston's one and only season of Doctor Who. Hopefully you've watched all the episodes that you can be able to listen to this without any spoilers. The show is now available on Amazon Prime, so you can catch it up that way because it left Netflix and Hulu. Just wanted to put that out there. All right, we are here with everybody from the show and the previous episodes. Our episodes, not the series episode. Let's introduce ourselves.
Hello, I'm Frank.
Hi, this is Brian.
Hello, this is Kelsey.
Hi, this is Auburn.
Hey, I'm Josh.
This is Arlene.
And this is Eugene.
And hopefully everybody hears our voices and connects us now with who we are. Hopefully they heard us enough
they
times.
should. The DVD sets are also available now. I remember when these sets were first available to us in the United States, they were like $100 for one season.
Why?
Because it's an import. It's a foreign commodity.
And they rarely went on sale.
Yeah.
But the moment they went on sale, snatched them up.
I don't remember, but I think I paid close to full price for the first season.
Really?
Because I wanted it. I don't remember. That first DVD set has a lot of stuff on it. It's got commentary on all the episodes, so I think it's worth buying because now it's dropped down considerably. It's not $100 anymore. You can buy it at any retailer for about $30 to $40, which is normal.
Buy it before DVDs don't exist anymore.
Yeah, and it's I like the DVD set. It's Brian will disagree with me on this, but I like the packaging.
It falls apart.
Well, it also looks like the TARDIS. I think that's cool. So when you get the original packaging, it's in a box, and you open it up, and
all the discs fall out.
Not on mine, but it's the TARDIS with the Doctor and Rose on the cover. And
Maybe
then
your mailman delivered it on a pogo stick.
I'm old school. I went to a store and bought it.
But what a foreign concept to buy DVDs for like the season of something.
I still do.
I still do.
Like people don't do that anymore. They're like, oh, it's not on Netflix.
They just have them streamed into your brain. Anyway, the box of the DVD set, you open it up and it's bigger on the inside because the TARDIS is the exterior, and then you get all the discs on the inside, and it's the interior of the TARDIS with that those arches and the console and all of that. And you also get Doctor Who Confidential on that too.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
Doctor Who Confidential was a supplementary show. It was a making of show that aired on BBC 3.
So it was like Talking Dead, but with Doctor Who.
Yeah, and so they filmed. It was a little making of for every episode.
So for every
they're like an hour long.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
they're pretty substantial. That's why
So
I'm
it's
recommending.
definitely worth.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They're really fun.
Even if you've seen this first season with Eccleston over and over and over again, if you haven't seen any of that, it's worth
For sure.
pick it up.
The supplementary materials are worth it, I think.
Yes.
And
the commentaries are really fun.
Is a commentary on every one?
yes.
Just like he said.
I wasn't listening. I don't listen. I just talk.
Also, this season was shot only in standard def, so
Yeah, that's a little bit of a bummer. They
When
don't go to HD until Tennant's specials.
yeah.
The second special at
And
that.
that first season, I think it might be the first season of Matt Smith, I think, is in HD. And it was before they really got the frame rate right. And I remember streaming it on Netflix, and it had like a weird strobing effect. And I even thought to myself, if they don't fix this, I don't know if I can keep watching it.
That's why you buy discs.
Well,
See what I did there?
yeah.
I don't know. Now I'll open it up to you guys. What do you think of
With such verve.
what do you think of the first season? We just went through this journey together.
I like to call this first season Eugene and the Quest for Blue Lights.
They were worth pointing out.
If you say so.
I just feel that these blue lights are a choice that the way the camera captures them, it kind of bugged me. So every time I saw one, I wanted to point it out.
The way the camera captures a blue light?
Yeah, it's really
something that's lit with blue light. Is that what you're saying?
The certain LEDs that they used, it registers differently on the cameras that they were using. Mm-hmm. It's especially prevalent in, I think, Boomtown, when Jack has the surfboard transducer thingy inserted into the TARDIS, and it's lit up, and it just like really glows, and it's weird. It almost looks like a bad special effect, but it's not.
It could just be the saturation, Sometimes
be.
red is oversaturated.
I'm just saying.
I mean, there are a lot of blue lights.
Yeah.
Now that you point them out.
Yeah, see, that's what I wanted to do, make you not watch these and enjoy them.
Well, I also noticed in season 1 of Torchwood, Jack has a microphone, so when they talk to each other on the team, and at the end is a very, very, very bright blue LED, and when you watch it on Blu-ray,
it pops, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just like piercing.
And that's why I wanted to point it out, to make you enjoy my pain as well.
I'll back up Eugene with a little technical stuff. I think part of the reason why you see it like that is because many cameras are really geared towards the red color, because that's your flesh tones. So blue is kind of one of those off, like it's not really meant to capture blue in detail.
Yeah.
So that's why you get that blooming effect where you lose all
Or
the
haloing,
detail.
I guess.
Yeah.
But, it's, to me, it's almost as if they made the sonic screwdriver blue because they had a surplus of blue LED lights. And it works for that because it's special, but then they started throwing it on like the squareness gun, the whole floor 500, or whenever we get there, all the walls and stuff are all blue. And
Well, didn't you know that alien tech is blue? It's just how it goes. It's like alien tech, blue.
Everything's sad.
now I'm sad. So let's discuss Rose is our main companion, or is our companion, and she's our main character for this season. Do you agree, Brian?
Yeah. Yeah. Do they even
She's our companion.
You mean not the
Our main character.
it's-
Our main
it's-
character.
Russell Davis and a lot of other behind the scenes people say that if you watch this series, Rose is the main companion, the main character of Doctor Who.
yeah.
It's not the Doctor.
It's sort of like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Charlie's the main character of that movie.
Not Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not Willy Wonka.
Right.
Well, I guess the movie's called Willy Wonka, but yes. It's
But this is called,
Charlie.
so this is Doctor Who, and the main person that they focus on a lot is the companion, which is interesting because she does have the biggest character arc for the series. She just goes from the board shop girl to saving
The world.
in one season, which is good. I don't know. I kind of wish they focused on the Doctor because he's
Well,
the
they had
title
to
character.
also dole his information out slowly about the war, and
Yeah.
like if we were with him too much, he wouldn't be so mysterious.
Yeah, and also the Doctor is, even though this is a new regeneration, the Doctor is established. So his character arc, yes, he changes during this series, and he's damaged in the beginning, and he's healing by the end. But his character arc isn't as great as Rose's.
Is significant, maybe?
Yeah,
But also using Rose as our point of view.
Yeah.
For all the people who are new
we're the eyes into the.
to the whole Doctor.
Yeah.
And to see and even those of us who know the classic series, we get to see now this new Doctor. I mean, we know about regeneration where
Yes.
she doesn't, and
Yeah.
at the end gets totally shocked by it.
So the purpose is you are Rose and you can save the world with the Doctor too, kind of thing. Kind of that alluring.
Yeah, and I mean, I get the
would say.
appeal. Yeah, people
know
really
about-
gravitate toward her.
In this, some of the other companions seem to take over, further on down the line.
Right.
Rose didn't seem to take over from the Doctor. It wasn't just Rose's story. He did evolve. He did change. He had a lot of characterization.
Yeah.
So
that
at
might
least it
be.
was
Yeah, I
balanced
might be
in my
looking
point
at
of view.
this from the benefit of 9 seasons in.
Yeah, because if you just look at that, like when even at the very end before he changes, he says, "You were fantastic, and so was I." Whereas if you look at the season knowing what you know, the beginning of it, he's in this really dark, bad place, even though he was being playful in the first episode. So she actually helped him appreciate life again.
Right. And while at the same time, vice versa, but then she also has the storyline with her mother. She has the
Right.
storyline with Mickey. You know,
It is the
she even has a bit of a storyline with Captain Jack.
It is the first time that the companions' family are so predominant in this.
Yeah.
Her family, her life, her friends.
Yeah.
Well, it's a great way to bring the audience in to be able to relate to this crazy world.
And that was one of Russell's, I was going to say tenets for the for the series. He said he always wanted it to be anchored with Earth because he says you write an episode about, Viridian 3. Who cares? We don't know those people. They're all made up. They're mythical. But if you bring it back to Earth, everyone can relate and everyone can have feelings about it. So he wanted a connection to her family. He wanted most of the episodes to, in some way, affect Earth. And I think it really does.
I think he accomplishes that.
I do too, yeah.
Yes. But a lot of the aliens, they write so well, Jabe and all those, that you still care. You want to know more about their planet and where she came from. So I think they did at least focus on those aliens really well. I mean, not to combat him, but it's like, yes, I understand his premise.
He did both very well.
But it's like, okay, you could pick this out there. You can go a little bit further.
It was probably just really in his mind to make it very approachable or real, the emotion, very emotionally realistic.
Yeah.
And he,
because he was in a very tricky position at this point because the BBC, yes, they committed to it, but it was very risky. They didn't want it back.
Yeah.
It was, when it went off the air in 86, 87.
89?
Maybe 89, yeah. They really wanted it gone.
And who was that doctor?
Sylvester McCoy.
Sylvester McCoy, yeah. And the irony is that his episodes had just started to get better.
Is he the little guy with the hat?
Yeah. And the umbrella.
Right.
And the jumper.
The question mark umbrella?
The question mark umbrella, yeah.
And the movie did not help bring it back.
Right.
No.
It was a time.
So it was a big risk, a big gamble. There's a lot of weight on his shoulders. So I think his decision, at least for the first season, to root it with Earth and have a connection with a companion's family was a very smart idea.
Absolutely.
It worked.
When I read about this behind the scenes background stuff, Russell wanted to, or he drew inspiration from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, with the big bad being as an overarching theme or an overarching villain through one season, and he also drew inspiration from Smallville. So
In which way?
that there's not much on that. He just says he did. Going back to the Doctor and Rose, it's definitely more prevalent as far as the hero's journey with Rose's journey as a character. She goes from ordinary girl, like Brian said, to savior of the world, where I think we're joining the Doctor in the last half of his journey, if you take the hero's journey as a journey, because he's already reached the lowest point in his life, and so now he's going back and seeking redemption. So that's why his arc is a little more simple and not as roller coaster like, peaks and valleys, if you will, with Rose.
And with the Doctor's journey, it's interesting because that could satisfy both classic Who fans and newcomers. So, a classic fan is intrigued going, what happened to him? And you see him rebuild. And for a new viewer,
You're just there.
this is just how the Doctor is, and something bad happens. And so he's trying to move forward.
Yeah. And also, I think Mickey also has a good character arc in this season.
Even in just this season, I don't remember him getting to that place. I didn't remember him getting to that place in this first season. I just sort of remembered it overall, because he even keeps getting better and better. But to just doing this podcast and just watching it again just this season, he does get to a pretty good place.
I just remember that first episode. He's there cowering on the ground,
I
plugging
know.
her leg.
It's very cartoonish.
He's come a long way from that.
Yeah, well, you guys didn't like Mickey in the first episode. I didn't get to be a part of our first episode talking about the Rose. But I always liked Mickey. And I enjoyed seeing his character develop into something more. Because it's true, the first episode he is just kind of there. But I still liked him in the first episode.
Can you like expand more on why?
I don't know. It's just a good guy, I guess. I don't know, he seemed like a good guy. Good boyfriend
But he
for
stank.
Rose.
I don't know.
He was funny. His comic relief.
But he was extremely loyal to someone who seemed kind of like didn't care at all.
I
she
agree.
wasn't
I agree with
very good
that.
to him.
No, yeah, I agree with you on that.
But in some ways, that is real.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
they
that
were
happens to a
both
lot of
really
people in
young.
life.
Yeah, I mean,
and not just age-wise, but they didn't have a lot of life experience. So their life was just their city, where they
Yeah.
were at. That was the extent of it.
But Rose is mean to him.
She is.
We
She's
agree.
kinda
I
like-
agree.
And he comes running when the TARDIS comes back, and then she's like, "Oh, hi, you're here." He's like, "I knew it'd be you," and she's like, "Oh, yeah, we have to save the Doctor."
Like, okay, here we go again.
Well, but she does say to him in that episode, I didn't need my passport. So she does want to see him.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then, you know, the world starts to come apart and she kind of has to go back to the Doctor to,
yeah.
stop the world from exploding.
Well, it is an interesting thing. They get more into it as the seasons go on, but like when they say death follows the Doctor, like, you know, is he inserting himself into a troubled situation, or is he actually caught? Like, if he wasn't there to begin with, would a lot of this stuff even be happening? Does he tip the domino more than not? These questions and more.
I'm trying to think of this as this.
We'll be right
I
back.
see your point, but I think in this series he doesn't.
And you mean in this?
It's not
first
his
season?
fault.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said series again, didn't I?
That's all right. That's what they call it.
Oh, deliver international television shows for the 12 years like I do, and you'll say series. I can like maybe Boomtown is his fault. No, because she was there with her plan anyway.
She was there. Yeah.
So
I don't think he was a butterfly wing.
Right.
No,
I think
don't-
he reacted and he contributed.
Well,
You know,
and
especially
then-
at some of
yeah.
towards
The empty
end.
child. Because
No, well-
Jack kind of followed him.
yeah,
Oh,
Because he wanted to lure someone to come so that they would purchase
You could do the con.
so if the Doctor wasn't there at all,
there at all.
And
It
aren't
would
there
have,
it wouldn't have,
episodes-
Jack wouldn't have gone to Earth.
yeah.
and aren't there other episodes where the antagonist was actually trying to capture the Doctor or do something, or
Not in this season,
destroy
but
them?
yeah.
Like with the Master's story arc, with all that bad stuff have even happened, if he wasn't trying to kill the Doctor. We're talking about season 1 now.
Yeah. We'll go back to that later.
I'll reprimand
What,
myself.
what is this master that you speak of?
I got a small question.
Sure.
That how old is this incarnation of the Doctor? Do you think?
900 years.
He says 900.
No. Like, how long was he the ninth Doctor?
That's up to debate,
yeah.
but
Because watching it just this season seems like, oh, so he was like this guy for a few months. But then you think about the time travel element and then all those adventures that Clive tells Rose about. It's just, but then when you actually watch the series past that first episode, it doesn't seem like he did all that much outside of the story.
yeah, that is an ongoing debate. But I think most people have kind of come down on the side of he's recently regenerated in the episode of Rose.
Right, I agree. But how much time actually happened for him in between then and when he became the 10th Doctor? Was it just this screen time of that we saw him with Rose, or were there times in between?
Sort of, because
when Rose was
the
hanging
10th
out in London and he was off doing other things, like it's really to geek out. It's upsetting to me to think that the ninth Doctor only lasted for about 10 months in the universe, or whatever, a year.
Well, yeah, and it might be that that's true because he says he's 900 years old.
Right.
And in the Titanic episode, which is the beginning of season 4, David Tennant says he's 904.
Oh.
So at that point, they are going year by year. Each season is
How
equivalent
many
to
years was Tennant there by then?
3. So it is
less
It's only,
than
like,
around a
he
year.
does say that
About a
it's about a
year,
year. That
The Ninth Doctor showed up, knowing about his ears and things in the
Yeah.
first episode, so it was recent.
Yeah.
And every time they come back, they're talking about, after Boomtown, delivering her, what's her name now? Can't think.
Margaret?
Thank you. Delivering Margaret. And they had one stop, I think, after that, but then
Yes,
they get pulled
Kyoto.
off to the
Yeah,
games.
there are other
So
adventures going on.
They're continuing on, but not for long. It seems like
Not for long.
There might be a few little things
like
that they've
maybe about
done.
a year.
Maybe.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
You know, which
But the thing is, just because of those 2 lines of dialogue,
yeah,
just because he says he's 900, he could be rounding.
yeah.
You know, if he's 896, he could just say I'm
It
900.
also does make a little sense. I'm jumping ahead to. I was going to talk about River Song, but
Stop it. We're looking back, not forward.
yes. Anyway, I was just thinking about that.
Okay, well, we don't have a definite answer, but it's up for you to decide, I guess, and how you feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree.
That's it. You know,
That's kind of what I like about it.
Yeah.
It's indefinitive. It's mysterious, and
either way works.
yeah.
Just like, does he go with Krakatoa and the Titanic sailing before he meets Rose, or sometime after?
We can always rationalize anything, but
Yes.
how I rationalize it is
Yeah.
that was before he showed up with Rose. When you go through depression, when you have something this horrendous that he did, as humans, we would watch Brian's song,
Oh,
exactly. Piccolo. Oh, that's terrible. We would watch or
The
Love
original.
Story. Okay,
The
for those who
original.
Don't know. You get into movies and we need a good cry. We need to get that release. And I think at some point he started getting back into traveling, but he went to the places that were Titanic. He was going back
When you go to
to the
Krakatoa.
other ones, which were still the sad parts. But he started coming back out of his depression with helping that family and not having them go on Titanic.
Right.
Little things that he would do, but not the major, not saving anyone else. He was just helping this one little bit. He was getting his feet wet coming back. And then when he came back with Rose, it was all this fake excitement. Not necessarily fake. He was
trying to convince himself.
Fake it till you make
He
it
was
kind of
convincing
idea. It's like you're
himself,
putting
yeah.
it on, getting there. But when he would get confronted with what happened and Rose is saying, what's happening? Why are you sad? He would pretty much shut it down. It's like, I can't go back there. I can't think about that right now. I'm trying to be myself again. So I don't think it was very long that he was this incarnation of the Ninth Doctor. And I think it could have been, he's gone through a few things and now he's like realizing where he's at. Oh, I do have floppy ears. Now I can get into who I am now. Who is this new Doctor going to be?
Oh, all right. Okay, because to me it always does go back to he has to do all of those adventures without seeing a mirror, but no, he doesn't. He just doesn't care. He doesn't care at that point.
Like he hasn't even
Oh, I
thought
like
of
that too. Because I always had it my little
other
theory
way, yeah.
that it was brand new.
Yeah.
From when, it travels as a space.
But a spaceship, it goes away completely, and then when it comes back, he's done all the other adventures. And again, even within my own brain, I can have it both ways.
You can have your cake and eat it
I can.
too.
Anyway, time travel thing, right?
So back to Christopher Eccleston as the Doctor, as the Ninth Doctor. In 2005, he won the Most Popular Actor at the National Television Awards and the TV Quick and TV Choice Awards for Best Actor. He was also voted the Best Actor by readers of SFX magazine. And then he was named Best Actor with 95.42% of the vote in bbc.co.uk's online Best of Drama poll in 2005. So people really liked Eccleston as the Doctor. So it's kind of sad to see him go, but his departure was also released or leaked early.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah,
It was during
The Unquiet Dead.
Oh.
Yeah, so the third episode, people already knew that he was leaving and David Tennant would be the new Doctor. But that's also a testament to his acting because he still won all those awards and he got that much in a popularity vote with people who knew for 10 full episodes that he was leaving. They still liked him that much.
Yeah. And I thought, he, in a post 9/11 world, he definitely brought something to the Doctor with that sort of even survivor's guilt, but not so much as, let's say, the Man of Steel.
Yeah, that's a good
Bring that up.
That's a good point. Because it was only a couple years after September 11th, so just the fact that the idea of survivor's guilt and stuff like that was still that fresh. And also, too, I think it's a testament to him because his outfit was so pared down that it really was all him. There were no gizmos, besides the screwdriver, and even that was very subdued.
Minimal, yeah.
So there weren't any trappings that made him stand out like a silly clown in a good way, like Tom Baker or the other fellas. So it was him that made it. I'm about to repeat myself. I think I made my point.
Yeah, yeah,
I
for sure.
liked him. It's just he becomes this like charming type person, which is weird because in anything else that you've seen him in, he's usually like a villain.
Right. Yeah.
So for him to be so charming, it's like, wow, I really like you.
So
Makes me sad.
And he took the role to
Seriously.
stretch himself.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
but he wanted to do something different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciated all the humanity is great rah-rah speeches that we got this season. And watching it made you feel better about yourself and what you could be capable of doing and how you could impact the world for good.
Yeah, it really, this particular season, and like I said, when we first started the podcast, this is where I came in and I didn't know much about anything, that really was very introspective. Is that the right word? It really made you think about yourself, like a lot of the speeches and a lot of the different episodes, and him and his performance, how he would be all, reasonably goofy, and then he'd switch to be so poignant. Of course, it's the writing, but his performance, it worked, and it would make me think a lot of times while I'm watching, like, yeah, that's right, and it really drew me in emotionally.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to some of those exchanges. Or do you want to answer that first?
Well, I was going to say that's exactly right. But that writing in the hands of a bad actor would be terrible.
Oh, absolutely.
It would totally become farce, cartoony.
Well, even that moment with Jabe, where she says, and he doesn't even say anything to her. He was a single tear, whether it was placed there on his face by makeup or not. I doubt it, but he didn't have to do anything, and it brought it to a very real place when he's talking to a tree lady.
And for me, it's at the other end of the season when he's on the Dalek ship and they run back into the TARDIS and he shuts the door. Right. And the Daleks are firing and saying exterminate, and he leans his head up against the door. And you can hear the Daleks firing, you can hear them say exterminate and some other things, and you can see the pain on his face. He doesn't have any dialogue. You don't see Rose, you don't see Jack. It's just him with his head up against the door, and you can see the pain where he's like, my people are gone for nothing. And he conveys that in a look, not even to camera, just up against the door, and you can feel the pain. I love that moment. And not a lot of actors could have done that.
No, I totally agree with you.
Sorry, so Frank, you were going to say?
I thought the writing throughout the season was great, and there's some exchanges that I really liked when the Doctor is telling Rose about the Earth and what he feels the Earth moving and rotating, how much he feels of that. His exchange in Dalek with the last Dalek and him being the last Time Lord, and they're still battling out about your race is dead and so is yours, but I'm I thought that was a great exchange.
With the blue light, don't forget.
Yes.
The blue eye stalk.
What's some others? The Empty Child. That was one you really liked when he's talking about.
Oh yeah, the Upper Britain speech.
Oh yeah,
I love it, and
the
it just ends with until one tiny damp little island says no. No, not here. A mouse in front of a lion. You're amazing, the lot of you. I don't know what you did to Hitler, but you frightened the hell out of me. Go on, do what you've got to do, save the world. That's great writing.
Something you said just also made me think about, I always like when this Doctor started to figure out what was happening. When he figured out the clue.
The Bad Wolf?
Oh, no, just about anything.
Oh, anything?
About every episode. Like when he figured out, I have to, Rose's father has to die, or whatever. You just, like, the thinking on his face. Like the other Doctors, went, kind of Shazam when they figured it out. But he the fact that there was something about when he started to figure things out that I found very compelling. I'd have to watch it specifically again to really understand what I'm thinking right now, but it definitely came up, and I can kind of see him start to figure things out a lot.
And Frank, you said with this Doctor, he likes the process.
Yeah,
He
that's sort of what
he
I
likes
mean.
his figuring it out. He likes going through the steps. And it's like, and there was one episode of the podcast where he was saying that suddenly you can see on his face that he's happy because he has a mystery and we are going to solve it now.
And he's fantastic.
Yeah.
He does like sparring, with Margaret in Boomtown.
Yeah.
Which is like, I can be nice. I can change. I let somebody go. And they're just sparring back and forth in the whole part. And he's, yes, because she smiled, has freckles. For some reason, you let somebody go. Because once in a while, on a whim, if the wind's in the right direction, you have to be kind. And she just comes right back with, only a killer would know that. So she calls him on it. It's great banter, and it's figuring it out, and it's playing mental chess with each other in this episode. So
Another example of the writing and the actors complimenting each other, because that scene, that's the dinner scene, and that scene starts off silly.
Right.
With the cute sound effects. Very cartoony with the sound effects and the darts. And then you get down to here where only a killer would know that.
Yeah.
And the look on Eccleston's face where it's like, she scored a point there. She got him because it's true.
Yeah, just speaking about everything coming together, I think it's one of those things you don't even realize how well this season works and comes together until you get farther into some of the later seasons that are airing now as we record this, I think, where there's a little bit more of a disconnect. I know Kelsey and I stopped watching or took a break watching some of Capaldi's work just because as writers changed and as actors changed, it stopped having that good gelled quality of everything coming together perfectly. And you don't realize that until you go back and rewatch these first seasons where, the writing, the acting, even though the VFX maybe not top notch, like just everything came together with the camera work and editing and music.
But if you've got a good story, you can at least I can forgive a lot of bad special effects. I don't really even care all that much.
No, it definitely transcended.
But I did think
episodes.
one overriding theme that they really wanted to insert into this season is fun. We had silly.
Which season?
This season. This
The one we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
the one with this death
Season
toll?
1.
Right.
Yeah, because it's still fun. Because
I don't know about that.
Well,
We had
because-
a lot of death in
Yes.
this season.
yeah,
This is fun.
And
But-
it was
I have
that
some
was
of them
not
written
fun.
down. I have some of them written down.
Yes,
There's
let's
Clive,
honor
Dave,
all the lost
Yeah, sure.
characters.
Yeah.
Let's take a moment.
of
Go ahead,
silence.
Frank.
Clive, Jabe, Gwyneth. The complete British cabinet is gone.
that's no big loss.
Don't forget our space pig. Our little space pig has passed away.
All right, you got me with that one.
That stupid scientist Simmons, who was with Van Staten.
Yeah.
The countless security guards. There's Suki, Satellite 5.
5, yeah.
She was a rebel.
Yeah, I know who she is.
You looked at me that way. Mr. Cleaver, nobody remembers anyway. He was that scientist
child?
for Boomtown who's telling her there's something wrong with this.
Yeah.
What about the guy on
But-
on the second episode, the blue guy? Did you mention him?
Oh yeah, the Ruffalo.
No, I didn't.
And the steward.
Buffalo, and then the
Stewart.
plumber lady.
See, there's too many. There's so many. of
Linda
these.
with
But-
a Y. Or
And
Okay,
Roderick.
but wait, but
Well,
my
that's
point is, especially if you compare it to current seasons, okay, there's just as much death in the current season as the first season that we're talking about now. But like, I'll even take your list. You talk about Clive dying, and that's sad. But what led up to that? Clive had a really good fun, I'm a conspiracy theorist nut who was right. And the way they do it is a lot of fun, and how Rose plays off of that and how that affects Rose's actions
Yeah,
later
you're
on.
talking about fun TV, not the
Yeah, this
characters
is
having
fun TV. This is, you
But
can-
also introducing Jack in when he comes back in some other episodes. He's having fun with the whole banter with him and Mickey at the door.
Yeah.
Who are you? What do you want? We're not taking any. And just you can see that the trio there of the Dr. Rose and Jack were having fun. Whatever adventures they had just come back from, they had fun. And they have now all these in-jokes between them. It is
and I'm also
different.
thinking,
It's not all sad.
I'm just, I'm also going like Gwyneth. That episode is dark and sad.
Unquiet Dead.
The Unquiet Dead. But I also think that episode is also a lot of fun, even though because fun isn't necessarily
it's got ghosts and zombies.
It's got ghosts and zombies, and exactly.
Yeah.
So I have a fun time watching that episode, and part of the fun is getting sad when Gwyneth sacrifices herself. So it's not that I don't mean fun in like this is comedic, but it's fun in that this is an enjoyable show. You know, it isn't one of those things where you reach the end of the episode, like, you know, half of the episodes of Battlestar Galactica, where you're going, I just can't go on with life. You know, it's like you watch an episode, you're done with it, and you go, I can't wait to see the next episode, or I can't wait to rewatch the episode that I just watched. That's what I think. This series has a lot of episodes like that, where these, you know, a lot of, you know, well, I was going to say a lot of people die, but not in the World War II episodes, because just once nobody dies. But you get those payoff moments, which those kind of moments don't happen as often today.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the example of the Unquiet Dead, Charles Dickens is at the end of his life, but yet he's inspired. And to me, that's fun.
Yes.
It's acknowledging that bad things happen.
Yes.
There is sadness. Yeah. It's not constantly having the only thing that there is.
Yeah. It's the theme of the show is not sad.
Right. It's to show the other part still has weight. It still can be happy. You can still be excited about life, knowing that some bad things are going to happen, and you can't avoid that. That's part of the package, rather than just being so depressed all the time of it being so horrible. So,
since we're looking back, what's something we got or we realized going back and watching this season that we didn't realize in 2015, like where we were now that we recently rewatched it? Like the thing I got out of it the most was I realized how much I like Chris Eccleston. I think the more I talk about it, the more I think he's my favorite.
That's cool.
And I didn't really, whenever I tried to think about that up until then, I was like, well, I'm a 10. And I really, really fell in love with Matt Smith during his run, more so than I thought I would, because I liked him the least when he showed up. But by like the middle of his run, I was really digging it. And when I binge watched his run, so like I didn't get a lot of him calendar wise, like everyone else had him for a few years. I had him for a couple months. So I was like, oh, he's gone already. But watching this for the podcast again made me realize that Eccleston's my favorite.
He's up there, yeah.
Eccleston's been my favorite.
Yeah.
I was just sad when he was regenerated. I was like, oh, it didn't have that same emotion. I feel like he had such emotion in his facial expressions that I think brought a lot to the Doctor. But it's okay. But what I did realize, we were kind of talking about it in the last episode that I didn't mention, is when Rose steps out of the TARDIS to come and save the Doctor. And she's like, of course I'm going to save my doctor.
Yeah.
And I don't think Rose said that. I think the TARDIS said that.
right.
Yeah, I thought that too when we watched it recently.
So I was like, oh, that's just interesting. I'm like, you know, Rose doesn't really have much at that point. It was the TARDIS speaking through her.
Yeah, because Rose only had the one doctor.
Combination. Because I think Rose does think of this one as her doctor as well. I think the TARDIS is definitely there. You know, that's the big essence. I wouldn't agree with you that Rose doesn't see it as her doctor.
But I feel like at that point, that wasn't really Rose. Rose didn't really save the Doctor. It was the TARDIS that saved the Doctor.
No. Well, I can see what you're saying, but I don't agree with it. No. You know, it's like I can understand that, but she continues on, and she's the one who can't handle it and is crying, and it's like too much in her head. So she's there, she's present, she's part of it.
Yeah, but it's both are there. I think it's being.
Yeah, that's what Frank was
think
saying.
It's a little bit of both, but
It's just my not liking Rose.
But this last time I watched it, I did realize that part of it. It was a little aha moment for me.
I think when you watch it at different times, at least for me, sometimes you think it's Rose, sometimes you think it's the TARDIS. This last time, I felt it was the TARDIS a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Is that where the TARDIS got my doctor from?
No, I think the TARDIS always... Well, at least from what we...
Never mind.
He just slapped himself. I have to say, to Josh's question, I watch Doctor Who all the time. So, it hasn't. There's never
No
been
revelations.
There's no real gap. What has been for me is this podcast, because I love hearing different ideas, especially ones that I would never think of. I know there's been a couple with Arlene and Kelsey where you guys have brought really a different perspective that I never even would consider. And I find it really intriguing, especially on like Rose. How I know.
Well, I like Rose.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what Arlene's problem is.
But that's caused me to do a lot of thinking, and almost, I will, when I watch these again, it's going to be different now because I'll have other ideas in my head now, just because of what we've all said in the podcast.
Remember, Frank, you said something towards the end of the podcast run, maybe a few episodes ago. I can't remember what it is now. I'll have to listen, but that a lot of us were like, "Oh, I never thought of that." You had some different perspective on something.
I always have a different perspective on things.
But yeah,
You haven't noticed
just to what you were saying.
He's Mr. Contrary.
Yes.
No, I'm not.
There he is.
Let's agree to disagree. Anyway.
One of the things that I found that I noticed this
Time around.
new I noticed rewatching season 1, there we go, was noticing all the potential companions. And I don't know if that's something that continues throughout. It might, but for me, going back and rewatching these and seeing all these other people, that if Rose wasn't there, that the doctor would be like, "Oh, hey, why don't you come with me? We just solved this together. Or sometimes some of those potential companions died, and I was thinking, if Rose wasn't there, would they have survived? Would they have lived and then gone to like more adventures with the doctor? But instead, since we already have the companion, they had to be sacrificed for the story or whatever. But that was fun to watch these and be like, ooh, they would be a good companion.
And
I think
Linda
we should
with
name some. Go through some of them.
Oh, well, Linda with a Y, Jabe.
Linda with a Y, she was set up for that. She was written for you to have that reaction. Russell was intentionally, that he was trying to throw off people thinking that the doctor was going to die, even though people knew that Tennant was coming on board. But he was trying to write the episode to kind of like, wait, maybe the doctor isn't going to die and maybe it's going to be Rose. He was really kind of like Rose was going to be the one leaving and that Linda with a Y was going to take over. So she was written expressly to put that feeling in.
That's interesting. I didn't get that the first time I watched it. It was only watching it through the lens of like other previous episodes, seeing potential characters
I don't know.
Potential companions that I noticed that Linda Y would make a good companion.
I would have liked Jade to be a companion.
I wanted Jade.
I mean,
to
they
be
couldn't come back to Earth for a while, which doesn't fit in with the season 1 that Russell wanted. But I think she would have been a really great companion, and you could see a lot of different worlds with them.
They could have put a perception filter on her. We wouldn't find.
There you go.
Not the same.
You have something? Did you have something?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
It was something about you were saying that. Oh, when you go back and watch it, you knew that, like Billie Piper, right? You knew that she was on, so it didn't even occur to me that
right.
When
You weren't
going
watching
back
it.
to watch, you're not gonna think
She's leaving.
It's not live.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So some things I don't remember what I thought during that episode, but I don't have much to say about this.
I mean, they had Suki and Kathika, but I think Suki, who was a spy, who was trying to actually get information on who's running Satellite 5, I think she would have been a better companion than Kathika.
Kathika.
Who's Kathika? Which one was that?
She had the big hole in her head.
The one on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
She's on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. now. Yeah. She seemed like she was going to start like being some sort of.
I mean, she finally got her mind open,
Kathika.
figuratively.
Right.
But even
Suki was
even
already
at the
ready
end,
for there.
even at the end, I think Suki could have been, but I don't think Kathika. I wouldn't put her on the list because even at the end, she doesn't change enough for the doctor. He's already pretty much written her off.
Well, I think he also leaves her there to fix things, sort of. Like she's
Yes, he
the
does.
seed of germination of change.
Yes, he does. And if he really liked her, he wouldn't have.
Yeah.
And who was that in that same episode? The the guy who traveled with them,
Adam.
Right. I think also what I saw in this rewatch of this season was that not everyone is cut out to be a companion of the Doctor, and you notice like it takes a very special person like Rose to continue to travel with the Doctor, and just take in everything that they're seeing and still want to continue
and do the right thing. That was the problem with Adam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
It's a great responsibility to be a companion of the Doctor.
With great power comes great responsibility.
And I don't think Nancy would have gone with him if he had asked. Nancy from
Which was
World War II.
World War II.
Well, she has a child to take care of.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was another one, potential Nancy.
Yeah, she was a good potential, but her responsibility was to the here and now. There's too much for her to deal with now. And it was, I think, for her, feel selfish to go off on an excursion and on an adventure when the reality for her is taking care of the other children that are around.
So sometimes to be a companion of the Doctor, you have to have also not so nice qualities like selfishness.
Yeah.
And that's what Rose has in abundance, some people might say, where like she's so dissatisfied with the normal, boring life.
And we
that
come back
it
to Mickey.
continues to... that's what sometimes drives her to continue traveling with the Doctor.
But I want the Doctor to go and find Nancy in like 1970. You know, where her little boy is all grown up and he's fine and everything's okay. And he says, okay, let me show you. That's
I
what
would like
want.
that. That would be great.
Yeah, not Nancy during World War II. You're right. She has too many responsibilities. But
Who would you guys say is the most tragic character in this series season run?
Is it Guinevere?
Gwyneth?
Gwyneth?
That's from The Quiet Dead, right?
Not Guinevere.
maybe
Gwyneth?
even Pete.
Who?
Who's Pete?
Dad.
Rose's dad.
Oh, yeah.
No, well,
Just because he like accepts that
Clive.
he has to die.
Clive.
You
I
know-
think it's... Okay, well...
Who would you think?
I think it's Gwyneth.
Yeah.
That's from The Quiet Dead, right? Yeah, because she led this really teeny small life. She was somewhat abused by her boss, who she lived with. And then she basically, the minute her world opened up and she got some balls, she sacrificed herself. She didn't, like, live a life. So I think it's very sad.
But you didn't know that she was going to die.
It doesn't, yeah, but so? No, but she thought she might die. She thought she might die. She knew it was dangerous to do that. He even said, you might die, I think. You know, and she realized the importance of it to save the world. And then it was just creepy how you realize, oh, she's been dead for like for like 15, 20 minutes now. We didn't even realize it. They've been like talking through her, and that was creepy. Just, well, I really brought everybody down, didn't I?
I'm just thinking
Looks
about
on all
that.
your
I know. I'm
faces.
thinking,
I'm thinking
too.
about that question. That's why.
I would say for me, it's between Gwyneth and Pete.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Pete, to continue my answer, is that it's sad to see him like get this thing, this almost gift, and then know that he has to die.
Okay, but it's not an almost gift. He is given a gift.
No,
And
and you
it's
know
a
what I
great
mean.
gift, and it makes him okay.
And he still gets to save his daughter
Yes.
Yeah.
on purpose.
Plus, he gets to see her
Grown up,
Yeah.
and that she's okay.
and that she's okay, and she's with him when he dies.
Yeah.
And that his death has meaning.
Right.
It's
And
saving.
Gwyneth doesn't get any
Yeah,
of that.
she doesn't even,
get
and like you
the
said,
knowledge
Frank,
of it.
she may not even have known that she was about to die when she did. Like, she's not even aware that what she did even worked. Oh, so sad.
So, yeah, so
Well,
I gotta go towards her for my vote because that
for
is
me,
more tragic.
For me, Pete, because he knows he's gonna die and then willingly going to his death, you know, rather than like not knowing.
But it wasn't a heroic act of dying. It was he was meant to die, and
But it
he
wasn't-
got something extra out of dying.
But I still think it's sort of heroic, like any sacrifice.
But for himself,
I still think
it's-
it's heroic.
It is heroic,
Yeah.
but it's also towards the end. It's like the rest of the planet is pretty much gone. Everything's gone.
There's nothing left
This is
to
the only
do.
way to
Yeah.
fix it. It's
Yeah.
not just jumping in front of the bullet to try and save someone else. It's like, this is it. Either you die or we all die. And that's so his rationale is different, where it's not just trying to save. It's no, this is the right thing. This is
It was
what he has
supposed
to
to
do.
be.
It's
But he also doesn't. But he doesn't doubt it, though. It's like once he figures he figures it out.
That's what I like
that's
about
where
him.
the time comes. It's like most of the world is destroyed just because they don't know what to do. But once he figures out what he has to do, he basically just says his goodbyes and does it.
Right, which is heroic, but I don't think that's as tragic as Gwyneth.
Oh, I agree. I thought
that was our
okay.
battle of which one's more of
It
a
is
tragic.
heroic.
It was heroic, and it was like, yes, you have
I
to
thought
do
you were
that,
saying it
but-
wasn't heroic.
Sorry,
enough.
no, that's not what I at all meant.
No, it was heroic, but what he got was extra time to say his goodbyes.
Yes.
Right.
And what
I'm
Gwyneth
with
got
you.
was nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she had a pretty crappy life.
Oh, yeah. She didn't even have
Because
anybody to
she
say
was-
goodbye to.
Yeah.
I'm not
she was
disagreeing
just
with you. I'm just-
used
I know.
for her gifts. And then
Yes.
dies for her gifts.
Yeah.
So it was like, well, maybe she died because just to end her misery.
I will say Pete's...
I don't think she was in misery though.
She was
that was
really
the life.
sad when she was talking to Rose and telling her like
But
the stuff
See, I
that
didn't
she
get it. I
can
got that that's
sense
more
from
the
her.
time period.
Yeah,
and this is
exactly.
what
They were
you
all
expected.
sad, but still doesn't make her any less
It wasn't-
sad. Just because more people, because she had
I mean, she didn't have a
misery
great
and company.
life, but she wasn't, being whipped physically. She wasn't
Emotionally
it was-
whipped.
But it was more the time period. It's like this is as far as she can get with her upbringing and with her background. It's like there was a lot more
Which is
class
also
systems.
tragic.
It's
Which
all
is
still tragic.
well, from our point of view,
it is.
Yes.
It is, but it's not tragic. But her death was tragic in that she's trying to help, and she, like you said, her mind was just starting to open up, and she
Right.
just started to see other possibilities, and so she's trying to do the right thing, and you don't realize 5 minutes later that she's already dead and she's
Yeah.
already sacrificed. Oh,
When I
that's so sad.
rewatched this episode, it really hit me like, oh my God, this poor woman.
But if there weren't zombies running around, I think Gwyneth would have been content.
Well, yeah.
Happy, no. But content, yeah, I think she would have been content.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, that's because that was the time period. That was the lot in life that she was born into. The Undertaker's not particularly happy either.
Does he survive?
No.
Yeah, they get him, don't they?
Yeah.
So I think, and like you say, I mean, it completely tragic because the moment she is exposed to a greater world and seems to, her initial reaction is to, get away from it, where she's telling Rose, don't think like that. But then Rose just, does kind of like, well, wouldn't this be good? Mm-hmm. So her mind is being opened.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the doctor brings death.
And let's not forget Van Statten, whose mind was erased and left on the city streets.
But that's more just.
Coming from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows.
Were you going to say something, Kelsey?
I was going to offer up as a tragic, or what was your question again, Josh?
Who do you think the most
Who's
tragic character is?
Okay. I would like to offer up for discussion the most tragic characters in this season being Mickey and Jackie, because they have to deal with Rose choosing the doctor over them, and they have to, when she does come back to visit, she talks about how mundane their lives are and how they can't see the big picture. And so they're like, Mickey loses his girlfriend to the doctor, Jackie loses her daughter to the doctor, and I don't know, that's kind of tragic, I think. To me, that's pretty tragic. And
Don't forget the missing year.
Yeah, you weren't
where
there
they,
for that
like,
episode,
thought
but
that she was missing for a year, and they
But
had
Mickey
to
killed
deal
her.
with that.
yeah.
And he was he was under
He was accused.
suspicion.
Right.
Yeah, but I think in the next seasons that we're gonna watch and discuss, like some redemption to their what their characters are dealing with right now. I feel they get redeemed in the next coming seasons. But yeah, so just interesting.
Yeah.
If we're talking
Yeah.
about tragic characters, I think Mickey and Jackie's characters are pretty tragic this season.
Yeah, up to this, like you said, up to this point. If we're just looking at the season, then you're right.
I don't know if I would call them tragic.
Well, this is where Rose causes the tragedy.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, well, I guess, if you think it's because someone's actually dying, but I do think the fact that they're living, the most important person in their lives
It's taken
almost can care less about them, it
Yeah.
seems.
And that's sad, but the two of them, for the most part, express their opinions
They
on
do,
that.
yeah.
So they're not just taking it,
No.
so.
And by the end of the season, they've come around to help her. So yes, the doctor may have taken her away, but Jackie shows up with the truck to open up and help Rose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mickey's come around to trying to do it with his little car, which didn't have enough horsepower.
Well, again, it's like the wake of the Doctor. Like, he saved the universe, but now all his people were killed or locked away. And in the wake of Rose helping, like, everyone's life, and the doing something good leaves a wake of bad things.
Yeah, he does damage. And through Rose's decisions, Jackie and Mickey's lives are damaged.
But they're a lot more interesting than they would have been.
True. But I mean, that also brings to my mind the Aliens of London and World War III. I was not expecting to like really dissect those upon watching them again. So that was one of those surprises.
Remembered.
That was a big surprise. Like, going back over this season and what we've rediscovered is
took me a
how
while.
good those episodes actually are.
It took me a while to formulate an answer to that question, because I was just like, what?
How much good is in those episodes? Let's put it that way.
That sounds better.
Yeah, because overall...
If they got rid of the gas, then I think it would have been elevated to a lot better of an episode.
Yeah, because they tackle some like really deep stuff in those issues. Issues. They tackled issues in those episodes.
And maybe the Prime Minister's aide is the most tragic figure.
Yeah, I know.
Or the Tony Blair lookalike that never got to show his face.
He's just a body.
And what I got from rewatching them is how much detail they've put into the writing and into the shows.
Oh, yeah.
And the idea of when Rose in the second episode, End of the World, calls back to Jackie, and just the way she's talking about getting the lottery tickets, and that they called back to before the episodes in, what happened in Rose. I thought that was a great bit. How much I did not pick up on Bad Wolf near the beginning.
Yeah.
It wasn't until later on when they were really just kind of, hello, this is it again. But
Speaking of Bad Wolf, do we want to do the breakdown of where each
let's do it.
mention? Frank, you want to take that?
Yes, okay. The first one was at the End of the World, the second episode.
And where?
Moxa Balhoun was talking to Face of Bo in the foreground, talking about as a Bad Wolf scenario. Gwyneth sees the Bad Wolf in Rose.
The big bad wolf.
She sees it in The Unquiet Dead.
That is correct. Then we go to Aliens of London, where there's a graffiti on the TARDIS.
Right.
That one's obvious.
And in Dalek, where the helicopter pilot comes down to venture... Attention all personnel, Bad Wolf 1 descending, about the helicopter.
Yeah.
The Long Game has Bad Wolf TV, or the Bad Wolf channel. The Face of Bo announces he's pregnant. Father's Day has some more writing of Bad Wolf in graffiti on a poster. The Doctor dances. This one I didn't see.
This one's harder.
This one's really hard. It's where Jack is on top of the bomb, and it's written on the bomb.
In German.
In German.
Oh.
So I had no clue about that one until doing some research for this.
What is it in German?
I don't remember.
And it also
Bad
was
Wolf in German.
Schlechte Wolf. From what this is saying.
Bad Wolf 9.
That's Bad Wolf. No.
Boomtown. The Doctor notices, of course, Margaret's power station is Bladrug. Then in Bad Wolf
It's the title of the episode.
is the title. And also, I think that's where it all would originate. Because we had this discussion of, did she come up with this term, or how did Bad Wolf become her catchphrase that she sent throughout time? And I think it really was
Corporation.
the Bad Wolf Corporation.
And
so she saw those words, and those are the words she chose and picked and then put through time.
Yeah, I agree with
And I
that.
scatter them.
Because it would lead them back, or lead her back to that place and time,
Right.
because the Bad Wolf Corporation is there presently.
And in Parting of the Ways, Rose realizes the significance of the message written through all the time, because of how to get back to the Doctor.
Right.
And it's also not the last time.
Well, did you know that was what I was going to ask? I mean, I know it's not the last time, but is it as prevalent
No.
going out?
No, because we're done.
But what they did nicely, that I know some people had talked about, is they have kept Bad Wolf going since you'd put it throughout time. In season 2 and in further seasons, they have references to Bad Wolf.
Right.
And they even reconned it.
So,
when
and
they
that's
got
why, because she's like a ripple in time. It goes in every direction.
Yeah.
Right. And in the Invasion, let's see, which one is this? Patrick Troughton's 1968
The
story.
second Doctor.
They put it in because they found some audio And so they cleaned it up, and then they added a Bad Wolf reference.
Get out of here. Well, where did that air?
But the thing is, with early Doctor Who episodes, they don't have them all.
Right.
They're gone.
I remember you telling me about this.
So
because there's truly lost episodes in this series because it's so old.
There's like 9 episodes up till now. There's 9 episodes that are missing.
Okay.
And so what they've done is some of them they have audio for. So they've made animated.
Oh, and where are those?
On the DVDs.
Oh, the DVD.
Yeah,
Another reason to buy the DVD.
And on one of these, it's on the animation, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on the
Right.
Yeah, so on one of the backgrounds of the animation, it says
cool.
Bad Wolf.
I was just going to talk about the current season, and I guess I can't.
Yeah, there are 8 more episodes coming up that reference Bad Wolf.
Yeah.
I'll just say that this is all reminding me of our first realization about Clara and who she actually is.
Yeah,
Like
Carrie,
that.
it's scattered through time.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Clara. Whatever.
Oh, piece of trivia. I was watching a movie the other day. I am'd Eugene when I saw it, but the actress who plays Clara is one of the girls in the first Captain America movie that they are...
His date at the
At the
when they're
expo.
on a date at the expo. Oh, I thought you were all going to...
Aw, thanks for keeping
Could have humored me.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah. No, really.
Oh, that's so cool. I need to watch it again.
So season 1 series, whatever, consists of 13 episodes, but it's amazing how, to me, that these episodes are very connected, and it's almost like 13 episodes is one episode.
Mm-hmm. How many 2-parters are there, or more than one-parter?
Getting to that.
Oh.
So the first 2-parter we get is Aliens of London and World War III, which then connects to Boomtown. So it's like a sort of 3-parter. And then the Bad Wolf and the Parting of Ways is this 2-parter season finale, but it also connects back to the long game. So I remember us, while we were going through this, we were wondering who is setting up the humans to sort of fail or not be where they're supposed to be in the long game with Adam in Satellite 5 and Floor 500. And then we find out that it's the Daleks in Bad Wolf and the Parting of Ways. So to me, it's great that Russell was able to like string these episodes together, both as standalones and yet as a whole. These are all part of the same story. And
it's nice that it gets tied up at the end.
Yeah.
It doesn't leave us with unanswered questions.
So we're
going
not
into the next.
Yeah. So we get our answers and we're not lost.
But that's where he got it from Buffy. That's
the big
interesting. You have to have a good balance. So each episode has to be able to stand alone.
Thank you for saying the balance, because in some of the newer episodes we don't get that balance.
I agree.
Yeah. Anyway, like we mentioned before, that they were going to film a alternate ending to throw off, I guess, the news or the reporters, as far as Eccleston's departure was concerned as the Doctor. And for the longest time, the reasons for his departure were that he didn't want to do the silly things that they were making him do.
Yeah, he had a disagreement with the production team.
And yeah.
Why do you say for the longest time?
What's the real reason?
Has new information come out?
The real reason is, recently, he didn't like the way the below the line people were being treated on the show.
Because that's a better reason for him to say.
Yeah, it just makes me wonder why it took so long to finally.
Well, because it's bad-mouthing people. It's basically saying that certain people aren't treating other people right. And,
Yeah,
I mean, that could make it...
And also, it's kind of the same reason. He doesn't get along with the producer.
Well, yeah, there you go.
True. So, I just think it's funny how time has sort of, like, in the beginning, it was sort of this sort of rosy color, not rosy, but like tinted way of looking at the departure. And then now, as time has progressed, we look at it through a different lens, but still the same story. Just like kind of what we're doing here, we're tackling something that's familiar, but looking at it from a different angle.
For those who don't know, the below the line workers or below line people that Eugene describes, those are your everyone besides the director and producers and actors. And writers.
Yeah,
so
like
all the others, so your costumers, your grips,
The
your
PAs,
cameramen, your
gaffers,
PAs, your
catering.
Yeah.
And
I guess they were having to work like just really long hours with no overtime.
I don't remember
or we
the
don't
details.
know?
I don't think they said the specifics.
It could be a
in the-
plethora of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just not being treated well. I mean, the sad part is that's rampant nowadays everywhere, even here in America. You know, it's just...
It's a very difficult show to shoot.
Yeah, well, probably that too, because even though it was a lot of attention, who knows how much money was put into the show. This new incarnation might have, like you said, like they didn't think anything was going to come of it, so they were, an underdog, and the above the line people who were hands on, who were more attached to it, like they were very passionate about it, and maybe they did put in a lot of extra hours that they weren't getting paid for and all that stuff, but Joe, workman has to go home and make sure he, tucks his kids in, and this is just a job. So, and I think a lot of times, a lot of above the line people expect every worker to have the same amount of passion, even, but those people, even though they're not getting overtime, they're getting paid a lot more.
Right.
Than such and such. And that's been the Union Minute.
We'll be right back. Anyway.
For the union.
I kind of found it sort of tragic, back to that question, that like Eccleston has sort of been ignored after he left as the Ninth Doctor.
Is that by his choice though as well?
I don't know, but
I think that's his.
It is, but I kind of felt sad that happened.
I was very sad
very...
when he didn't return for the special leave.
True.
And that was his choice.
Yes, but I also don't... I mean, he was considerably older, I think, more. Like, he probably looked more different than everyone else, no?
All the original Doctors, though, they came back, didn't they? Or a lot of them?
No, not for the show itself.
Not for the show.
No, I was talking about the special with the 3 Doctors.
The 50th.
But he was offered that. They wanted him in that. He said no.
Oh,
and Stephen Moffat has been quite vocal in the fact that, if you are a former Doctor and you're asked to come back, just come back. Mm-hmm. And I think he's talking. I think in that instance, Stephen Moffat is talking from a fan's point of view.
Right.
If nothing else, do it for the fans. These are special episodes. You may have had your differences in the past.
Right.
You kind of like come back for a special.
Yeah.
But I just think that's sad.
I do think it's sad.
Yeah.
Regardless of the reasons behind it.
Sure.
But in a way, it kind of it's kind of cool in the way of he did his job. Like he brought the world back to Doctor Who back to the world.
Yes.
He's the one that got us into it again. It's almost like one and done. Like I'm at, it's almost, he's kind of Fonzie in that way, even with the leather jacket. Like, he does, the fact he's not coming back makes him even cooler to just, I don't know.
Well, we got the War Doctor instead during that episode. Well, that's going ahead in time, but it would have been nice to have him back.
Yeah,
I mean, to see him as a contrast with Matt Smith and David Tennant would have been fantastic.
That would have been great, and I kind of want that.
It felt empty in that spot.
And even just recently, I mean, in the last couple weeks,
he's been more open to his Doctor Who days, I guess.
Yeah, for the very first time, there's actually video on the internet of him talking about the Who days.
Is that with the little boy?
Yeah, the autistic.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He's not a little boy.
He's not a little boy
anymore. He was a little boy.
That
freaked me out just alone that guy was 10 in 2005.
And now he's this adult making films. But in case you guys don't know, there's a film on YouTube of a autistic
BBC intern.
But what do they call it? High functioning?
Yeah, high functioning autism.
I don't
Asperger's,
which is a form of autism. It's on the spectrum.
And he makes films now, but he loved Christopher Eccleston's Doctor, and he actually sat down and had an interview through a BBC internship with Christopher Eccleston, and it comes up.
Yeah,
and
he's like, you were my. And what I loved, my favorite part of the whole thing was Christopher says, "Oh, you were one of mine,"
and he cries,
and it's kind of like, okay, good, it's there.
Because even before that, he made a video to a fan with I want to say terminal illness.
Who was,
and he was he was playing the Doctor talking to that fan, and that's like one of the first times we've seen him do that since his departure.
Yes.
And so I think that's like the wound is sort of healing.
Sort of, yeah.
I hope it would heal some more so we can have that fabulous U-boat Captain jacket back.
That'd be great. Before we move on to the stats, even though I brought it up, I remembered one thing. I know pretty much everyone here probably would want more episodes with Eccleston in the long run. But I think having the regeneration end of the first season, I think helped the show.
Yes,
in the long run.
I agree with that too. Even
because
though
it solidifies what Doctor Who is, and Doctor Who has always been about the Doctor and not the actor playing the Doctor. So the Doctor changes through time. Huh, how funny! But he's still the Doctor, but he has different personality traits with each incarnation. But that is what the show is. It injects new life every so often.
It kind of gave us everything in that one season.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's like, say Eccleston had gone for 3 or 4 years, which seems to be the average for a Doctor, he really would have gotten very much entrenched in it. It would have been, he is Doctor Who. Mm-hmm. He is the show. Mm-hmm. So when he finally would leave, I don't know if the show would have survived that. Yeah. So to have everything happen in the first season with a regeneration, just to say to the audience,
this is still the Doctor.
Mm-hmm. This is still the Doctor, and the Doctor changes. Mm-hmm. And this is what the show is. I think that really, in the long run, for all of us, it was 11 years later.
It was for the good, the greater good.
It was for the greater good.
Yeah.
Now, though, 11 years later, boy, let's go make
11 years later.
Let's go make the second season of Christopher Eccleston. Yeah. I want to see him on the Titanic. Let's get James Cameron, and
and all those blue people,
and we can see him swimming underneath Leonardo DiCaprio, pulling him down.
Right. So you were meant to die.
You're meant to die.
On to the stats.
There's Rose in that movie.
A different type of Rose. So we have ended each episode with a I don't know what you're talking about.
With a question of, would we recommend this to a person who would be new to Doctor Who?
I believe it's called a new Who viewer.
It's hard to say. It's just kind of interesting how the very first episode that we reach, where we would, all of us at the table would say yes, we would recommend this, is The Empty Child, which is episode 9. It's the first 8 episodes. The first 8 episodes were all torn, or were all unanimous against. So this is funny. This is the first season, and yet for the majority of this first season, we would not recommend it to a new viewer.
I a lot of times when we ask that question, I think of a new viewer who's skeptical. Because I was very curious and I wanted to watch it, and even as silly as that first episode was, I dug him and I dug it. But for someone who's skeptical, that's how I looked at answering that question every week.
Well, I was someone who's very skeptical, and someone asked me this week, well, how did you get into watching Doctor Who? And I was like, I kind of feel like I was forced into it because I was shown the episodes that were really good. And then I started watching it from the beginning. So it was...
And Eugene is just pushy.
That's true. Like, I'm going to come over and you're going to watch this.
For a lot of TV series, the first seasons are always kind of rough.
I always give a show three episodes. And then that's why it's a rare show and a special show when the first episode is really, really good. When the pilot is actually just as good, if not better, than a lot of the other shows.
Well, we almost got the episode Rose as a unanimous yes, but we had one holdout. Let's have a guess who that would be.
Me?
Sorry.
No.
It wasn't?
No.
Frank.
It was Frank.
I didn't get to vote.
Yeah.
What
would you have said?
You
would have said yes.
So it's still the stats
Yes.
still are true.
I think it just shows
yes.
that we all have different
yes.
ideas and what we
Maybe
like.
no. I would say no. I'm with Frank. No.
I'm like, wait.
Because I think I voted yes on episode 2.
Too late. I've already written this in pen. Can't change it.
So you would be a no?
I think I was in the middle.
You said yes because it's the pilot. If I'm pretty sure that we were like, well, it is the pilot.
I must have been convinced that day.
Coming in cold to that episode, it just seemed a little too childish in some of the execution that they had. I just remember Jackie, I think she just dropped her bags, hands actually up in the air running, waving her hands around when all the Autons were attacking. It just had that.
But now you know that is how Jackie would react.
I don't know anymore. I
I'm
think
the
Jackie
only
would
one
change.
that liked End of the World.
You are the only one. No, but not liked.
Oh, okay.
Because this isn't liked. This is recommending.
And that's
Well, liked
because
it
that's
as
a distinction.
the first as an introduction. And I
Introduction, yeah.
still like it as an introduction.
and we like a lot of these episodes,
I'm
just
gonna
not
stick to
as the
that.
first one.
Some
to
of
show
these
somebody.
some of these episodes are my favorite. I mean, I really, and I'm kind of in the minority, but I really like Boomtown a lot. But I wouldn't show that.
Yeah. Just like we have
Because you want to have the history of what happened
Yeah.
in the other two episodes
Yeah.
dealing with.
And-
You
and
like
like
it
Margaret.
because of those other episodes.
And like
if
I
you don't
mentioned
know.
about the two first Slitheen episodes, we had a lot to discuss about the good points of those episodes, but we wouldn't recommend them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the first time.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah,
That's
right.
the
For the
whole
first time.
idea
New,
of a
cute,
standalone
cute,
episode.
whatever.
So if you're watching it, it's still a great standalone episode. But because of the story arc that he has over the whole season, there are some things that you really need to know to watch that episode, to really get the most out of it and understand what's going on.
But to your point where you added the skepticism, I didn't. So when you say, for a skeptic, that if we specifically said to a person who was skeptical, I'd
Different-
probably change some of my
Yeah.
answers. Like Rose, I would probably say no to Rose because of the silliness to a skeptic. But I just in my head was thinking introducing this to like a nephew who's 10 or a person who, I have friends at work or like Eugene. Eugene's a great example. I know Eugene. I know what Eugene likes.
Yeah, there's a certain type of person who will be willing to accept certain things. And
But then I have other members of my family who, couldn't be caught dead watching Star Trek.
yeah,
That's why I don't talk to them much. I would never,
right.
know.
Yeah,
I've never watched an episode of Star Trek.
Get out of my house. None?
None.
Ever? Okay, what episode do we recommend?
Pause this podcast.
one to beam out.
All right.
This graph here, are we going to make that available on our website?
Sure,
for
we could.
everyone
Yeah,
to,
we can,
That'd be a good idea.
to be able to look at.
I like that
I do
idea.
remember
I
I
think
wanted
we
to
should-
change one of them, but we can't because it's on actual paper now.
No, it was written in pen, Eugene said. But okay, you know what? If we're going to do that.
But
then-
wait. But I remember it's Arlene who told me what episode?
End of the
Unquiet-
World or
no,
Unquiet Dead?
Unquiet Dead. You convinced me.
Yes.
Changed my vote.
Yes.
So I do
To a
have
no.
to a yes.
No,
What?
you're no.
Maybe it's End of the World? I don't know.
No. Yeah. So it's a yes.
He wants
made
to
me
make it a
change
yes.
I'll check again, but I
gave it a no, but after talking and hearing what she had to say, I wanted to change it. To
I
a
think
yes.
what you said was you're making me reconsider, but you didn't officially commit.
Wish there was a way we could go back and listen to
And
what happened.
I did. That's the point of it.
at the time, but now it's like no, I did want to change that.
I have to tread carefully with him.
All right, let's go. Let's go.
Back in
Oh,
time.
wait. Backing it up.
You know what? Okay, so we're going to do that then. Okay, so Kelsey for Rose, you're a no.
I don't know. Sure.
Okay. There are no issues, and that's a quote from you. You said there's no ish.
Plenty of issues.
It's yes or no, black and white, just like real life.
So we're filling in the brackets.
All right,
of
I
the
stole that
episodes
joke
they
from Will
missed.
and Grace, but it's appropriate. All right, Arlene, you weren't here for
Kiss.
Aliens of London in World War III.
No.
I knew that. I knew that was going to be easy.
No,
We figured-
no hesitation
And
with that one.
Kelsey,
I haven't watched them. I would
The
have to
Slitheen
watch
ones.
them.
the Slovenes
I guess no.
with Harriet
Say no.
Jones. No?
No.
Okay. And then both of you were also missing for Father's Day.
Ooh, that one was good.
Remember, it's not if you liked it or not.
It's a recommendation.
Can I come back?
Of course.
Yes.
It'll.
No, I'm sorry. It must be done now.
You guys will know what I said when you go to the website and look at the
Ooh, I like
Ooh.
it.
thing. So I'm not gonna say.
For Father's Day, I would say yes, because it's always that thought in your head that you want to go back and fix something that was bad. And I guess it doesn't matter who you are, sci-fi watcher or not, that's something that
We all have regrets or something.
you want to see. If you
And it is an
accept.
encapsulated, more standalone episode.
It's also really good.
And you didn't even have to ask me about the other one.
Boomtown, that's a no.
Yeah, still no.
Yeah, probably no.
Which one's Boomtown? I can never remember.
Margaret.
The Slitheen.
The first or the second one?
Second one.
Second one, because the first one's Aliens of London.
Technically third, but yeah.
But yeah,
It's the
Taking-
conversation one.
The one. at
it's the
table.
play.
Yeah.
Very good.
My
Just
dinner,
those-
my dinner, my
Boomtown
dinner with
because she
Slitheen.
planted the
Blood
bomb.
Blue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
That's
And
why
it
it's
was
called Boomtown.
and it was okay to watch it after I got into Doctor Who, but it was just kind of
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
the Slovenes were just kind of cheesy for me.
Understood.
yeah. Yeah, well, we're not going to re-debate the episode.
Yeah.
But we are, so that makes Boomtown a unanimous no. But just, interesting.
Well, because
Rose,
it has so much history to the other episodes, you can't just start with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Rose, the pilot episode, there's all yeses except for Frank and Kelsey. The end of the world is all no's except for Kelsey, who's a yes.
I still stand by that.
And
Please,
the
if
more
you're
I thought
out there
about it,
and you watched that for the very first time and you were like, oh my gosh, this episode, I have to watch Doctor Who, please comment and let me know so I can be validated.
I also had my doubts after that one too, because I thought about our 10-year-old nephew going, he would love that episode.
And I said it'd be fine.
Yeah, he'd be fine, yeah. Unquiet Dead, there are 4 no's and 3 yeses.
4 no's.
4 no's.
Are you a no?
Arlene, Eugene, and Josh are yeses. The rest of us are no's.
Not for a first.
Great
time.
episode, though.
I was going to a yes, but I can't change it.
Aliens of London and World War III were all no's. The Dalek, this was kind of interesting to me. There's only 2 yeses, Frank and I. Everybody else is a no. And I think Dalek is one of the strongest episodes of the season.
Yeah, I'll have to think about it. I'll have to re-listen to that episode to see why I said that.
But you don't like Daleks, Arlene.
I don't like Daleks, and that's why I wouldn't recommend it. It's just
Yeah.
because I don't
Personal
like them.
choice.
It's a personal thing, yeah.
But still, it should be a yes.
But it's a good episode.
It is.
But it is surprising there's only 2 of us. It's not even a majority. So Frank and I are right. The long game, we're all no's.
I think I'm the only one
And I
that
just like to
kinda
say one
likes
last
that
time,
episode.
what do you mean? Okay, sorry.
That's one of my favorite episodes of ours to listen to.
Yes, our podcast. That podcast is great. Father's Day is, well, we have 1 abstention still. But the rest of us are yeses except for Eugene, which is a no.
And I remember Josh fighting me on that.
Why is it a no? I wasn't
Because to me, that episode carries a lot with it. And I'd like the person to get to that point instead of just watching that cold. That was my personal reason for that.
You want to have history with Rose and Jackie. And know the child, Mickey, who he is, so when he runs up.
Yeah, because
you get a little more invested. I think that's what you would say.
that's what I
You get
want.
more
I want them to have
invested
those
in it.
moments and not
I
just
agree.
be.
I also think that's why that episode can work on 2 levels. It could work on the level of just watching it fresh and what you said.
Understood. And then after the long game, the Father's Day episode of ours became one of my favorites. We referenced so many
There's
things.
so many references in that. And then Empty Child and Dr. Dances, both are unanimous yeses because they deserve it.
Agreed.
Boomtown is a unanimous no. Bad Wolf is majority yeses, but there are 2 no's. Arlene and Josh are both no's on that.
That's because it's the finale, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the beginning of the finale, yeah.
Right.
And there's Daleks.
Daleks, yeah. I think you can all see where that's going. And then Parting of the Ways is all yeses except for 1 no, who is Kelsey.
But Parting of the Ways is a 2-parter, and we changed that.
We changed
vote
that.
Yes,
to
so
be-
does it live up
does
to
it
the
live up to
expectation of the first half? Yeah. So it's just, I'm a little surprised.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised that we didn't get a unanimous yes until later in the season, just because
Which
how
one was the one?
The empty child.
Empty Child, yeah. But because it is, first seasons are rough.
Yeah.
But that we have some really split ones. I'm still surprised that Frank and I are a yes and everyone else is a no for Dalek. But that's
Right.
what makes this interesting.
And what's really interesting is that that there's so many no's in this, yet we all really like Eccleston.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's surprising too.
Because it isn't, the question wasn't, do we like it or not? Because, everybody does that. And I kind of think in the way we discussed the episode, we're answering that question.
I will say that I don't think any of the skepticism that anyone I think would have would be at all because of him. Like, I think everyone would, even a new viewer would like him. It's just the world they may.
Yeah, some of the episodes, some of the stories.
Yeah.
And I wanted to point out that in The Unquiet Dead, the Star Trek Next Generation episode that we mention in there is called Power Play. We never figured out what episode that was. And in Dalek, I incorrectly mentioned the long game as being the genesis of that episode when it's really... It was... Luckily, Kelsey brought it up in the long game, our episode. And then Baron von Strucker is the Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Reference villain that we never kind of got our brain around. We always kept saying von Staten, but it was Baron von Strucker.
Wow.
And I also wanted to correct one mistake of mine, which the fanboys would probably kill me for. In Parting of the Ways, when I thought that was the Doctor's first kiss.
To a companion? To a companion.
I'm wrong. Because in the TV movie, the Fox TV movie with...
the McGann TV movie.
Oh, sorry. Yes, that's right. Yeah. The McGann TV movie that aired on a certain network. He kisses his companion there. There's a romantic element to that story.
And the reason I didn't think of that, because I don't think of that as classic Doctor Who.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
So that's how we can kind of reason
that. Like McGann and his run and what the...
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. So
there might be some Who classic on Who Knew.
Anything else? I think that wraps it up for Series 1. Would we recommend Series 1 to us? Just kidding. I can assume that, yes, we would recommend Series 1, Season 1, to somebody who's wanting to be introduced into Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm. So start with Episode 9.
So thank you for joining us, and hopefully you'll continue on with us in this journey to rewatch Doctor Who. We will see you all when the future becomes the present.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Who Knew.
Our wonderful theme music is by Michael Grady.
You can find his work at
theuniverseexplodes.com.
You can find this show in several places.
Follow us on Twitter at Who Knew Podcast.
Subscribe, review, and listen to us on iTunes and Stitcher.
Or our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Who Knew Podcast.
All of our episodes are on whoknewpodcast.com.
You can leave comments there or email us at
whoknewpodcast@gmail.com. This podcast is inspired by Doctor Who,
the longest-running sci-fi show in history.
And especially the revival spearheaded by Russell T. Davis.
Thanks to Russell,
Sidney Newman,
Verity Lambert,
Ron Grainer,
and all those involved in the adventures of our favorite Time Lord. Your work continues to inspire and entertain.